Hey guys, and I believe we are live on this Sunday afternoon here in South Africa and in the UK. Welcome everybody that's in chat. Let me just introduce you to my co-host, Liam, aka Sherlock Holmes, in the house. We're gonna have more people joining. It's just Sunday vibes, you know. Everybody sort of just hops on as soon as they're ready. But we're expecting Richard to be here. We've got quite a daunting task ahead of us. Guys, this is mixed. This is literally just an excuse for us to get together and mix up something, you know, collaborate, have some fun. So that's what we're going to be doing today, hopefully. And today we are looking at Malva Pudding. But before we do that, guys, there was a massive drive last night for a mixathon, is the coined phrase, for Kindground. I put the GoFundMe link in the description of this video. I think there might still be an opportunity to contribute to that GoFundMe. But yeah, guys, go check out that stream. Go support that GoFundMe link, and give back to Philip. So I guess we should be, Liam, I guess we should be talking about what went down in the roast.
Yeah, that was epic. That was really good.
I think, you know, before we just dive into this whole new adventure of Malva Pudding, what do you think? What's your opinion about this?
I think it's Malva Pudding or the format of the show.
The whole thing. So the whole thing from mixed and the roast at the end.
Yeah, I think it's great. Actually, taking a well-loved version of a show, just like doing the live mixing, but instead of just concentrating on one show for that mix and then moving on to the next, but just taking it all the way through, showing everybody what mixers actually go through when they're trying to come up with a profile, and then that roast at the end then just seals the deal. Having well-known mixers actually mix it up and taste it is fantastic.
Yeah, the roast was never part of the original idea. You know, of course, we got the idea from Develop to do collaboration recipes. This is something that happens already. You know, Fresh 03 really actually does collaboration already on his channel. So it's like a mix of ideas, you know. Then on the Mix and Vixens, they've got a review show where whatever profile they were chasing, they get some mixers to do a review for them, and one of the mixers wins. So I decided, to hell with all of that, we should still have a review, but instead of calling it a review, we should do a roast. And you know, in this roast, we should be harsh on what works, make a joke about it, and celebrate the stuff that did work, you know. So, you know, a lot of memes came out of that episode. We had Lich My Mangwav, which seems to be the more popular clicked recipe between that and Orango Passion. Some funny things used in there. Dave was talking about 2015 Cop-Out Marshmallow. I'm like literally 2 steps away of just throwing that away. I'll probably never use that ingredient ever again. But yeah, I heard somebody else using was it Leilani? Not Leilani, Liana from Mix and Vixens using Cap's Sweet Mango, and I called it 2015 Mango. So it's already caught on. But yeah, that's the meme. There was another thing as well. Jennifer Winstead that she chases heavy mango mixes or heavy fruit mixes with something that is going to wake up her sort of taste buds. So she decides to chase heavy fruity recipes with intense flavor with pickles, and that seems to clear things up for her. She's a strange lady, man. But yeah, hopefully we can get her on for another roast. Dave did a fantastic job. Hopefully we can get him on again. Plus Mick Mod RN, Mary Beth. So thank you to the judges. I thoroughly enjoyed their roast, and happy they mixed up all our stuff. Let's welcome everybody out in chat, guys. I know I created this stream a little bit late, but we're going to be here for an hour today. So, people will hop in as soon as they start seeing, there's some activity happening. Bangers was moved to next week. So we're doing donuts next week, Saturday. I still want to mix up one more recipe. So I'm going to put a link out on Facebook, so everybody with donut recipes, they can put their recipes in that thread. Okay, what up, Tam Jam? How are you doing? Papa Chigley in the house. Funny enough, I asked Papa Chigley to join us, with this whole Malva Pudding mixed episode. So what he's done is, and that's really cool, Papa Chigley, for doing that. He's actually baked a Malva pudding, so that he has a point of reference. So yeah, dude, I'm so happy to see you here. James Revere, what's happening, dude? Danae B, welcome. Feedier that just joined, welcome, guys. So it looks like Richard has a problem to join. Let me just see what is happening on his side. Sorry, guys. So for some reason, it's saying that Richard is not allowed to join.
Yeah, that's really awesome of you, Papa Chigley, mixing up the actual Malva pudding. I tried to do it myself this weekend, but just didn't have chance. Everything's just gone to pot for me on the weekend, so just didn't have chance to mix it. But I will be trying in the week, maybe, just so I got a point of reference as well, so I'm not just working off a description.
Let me just quickly. Sorry, guys. Sorry about this. I just want to send. Yeah. Let me just quickly. I'm going to try and invite Richard rather than having him join with a link.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering as well, Papa Chigley, whether it was actually like a syrup sponge pudding. Sounds like exactly what you're saying.
Okay, so sorry about that, guys. Richard is trying to join in, and he's just having a little bit of trouble. All right, so I guess we should be talking about, what Malva pudding is. Malva pudding is a dessert, something sweet after that, normally gets served after a meal. I have memories of eating this, sort of like after a big Sunday meal. It's super sweet. It's it's covered in custard. It's cake, and yeah, it's really popular here in South Africa. But it just seems like nobody has nailed it yet. I think if we do nail it 100%, if we get the cake layer perfect, the custard layer is not that difficult. But then, this will be quite popular. It's it's not your average sort of cake. It's just like a stodgy, moist cake, So that's going to be a challenge. But I'm going to read out just a little bit of what the ingredients are, so that everybody has an idea. But really, what you are doing is you're mixing butter, flour, sugar, and everything, just a normal cake mix. But then what you are doing is, of course, with baking soda and bicarb of soda, that kind of thing, you're beating in an egg, you're fluffing out and sifting the flour, of course, all those normal things. But then you're putting like sort of a tablespoon of apricot jam in the mixture. All right. And the cake mixer mixes all of that stuff together. It creates the cake batter. The cake batter is kind of like a beigey color when it comes out of that. And then from there, you stick it in the oven. The consistency of that cake batter is it's still a liquid. Then you throw all of that liquid into like a baking tray, quite deep, like a deep sort of cake tray. You put that in the oven and let that sit there for I think it's about 45 minutes on about 180, something like that. You do stir in a little bit of vinegar as well. Vinegar definitely, has an impact on that. Then you create like a sauce. So in this sauce, it's pretty much butter and milk. You can put a little bit of brandy or water in there, or orange juice, but we're not going to be talking about the orange juice version of this. And that sauce is like a buttery sauce, and this sauce you actually pour over the Malva pudding, and you bake it again, so that all of that stuff on low heat, so that all of that stuff seeps into the cake. You end up with the super stodgy, not stodgy is not the right word, but a super moist cake, and that's why they call it a pudding, because it's not your traditional sort of dry cake, birthday cake vibe with icing. But it's definitely made, similar to what a cake would be made, just with a hell of a lot more butter. And it's got that dollop of apricot jam in there. So what comes out is like a moist cake, and it has a little bit, just a smidge of like an apricot sort of taste to it. But that actually, the best way to describe it is almost like a caramelly toffee-like syrup that is sort of created within the cake, with a little bit of undertones of baked apricot jam vibes to it. So if that made any sense to it, I'm going to just put a link out there for a normal recipe of Malva pudding, so that whoever, and it's really easy to make. It is really easy to make. I'm going to put a recipe out in chat, guys. Just treat yourself to this. Make it. You will enjoy it. It's South African. We love our sweet desserts. What's really nice about this dessert is you just cover it in custard, or you serve it with a little bit of ice cream. So there's going to be two layers. There's going to be the Malva pudding layer, and there is going to be the custard layer. So I guess we should just kind of kick away, unless anybody had any questions about what Malva pudding is. Yeah, it's sad to see we can't get Richard on. It's okay, Richard. You can contribute in chat. Myself and Liam will run the show. You make your comments out in chat, and we'll read them out. Thank you so much for being here, dude. Yeah, so we need to talk about the cake layer first.
Yep.
Actually, before we do that, I wanted to read out one of the messages that Papa Chigley sent to me for everybody in America that wants a sort of something that they can relate to. So just to let you know, I did bake the cake, and it's a posher version of McVitie's Golden Suryp cake, which is sold in the UK. Liam?
McVitie's.
McVitie's.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with that?
Yeah, I've had the golden sponge cakes, the syrup puddings and things like that. So yeah, I'm definitely familiar with that. The only thing is, in the UK, see, there's two different types of the sponge pudding type recipes. One uses like a suet, and the other is a sponge cake. So our sponge puddings can go either way. The suet is a lot heavier, and whereas the sponge is literally a sponge cake that's had all the syrup and everything absorbed into it. So it sounds pretty much the same as a Malva pudding.
Yeah, it I know what you're talking about. You get two, more than one kind of moist cake. You get one that's super stodgy and very thick in in its texture, but this isn't that thick. It's more spongy, so stodgy isn't the right word. So I'm going to read out what Richard has said. He said he started on a base for the cake layer. I think he said it was about 90% there. So we're definitely going to be adding that as one of the concepts for Malva pudding. I did a base with OOO Golden Sponge Cake, right? Flavor West Yellow Cake, TFA Apricot, Wonder Flavor Caramel Butter, FLV Milk and Honey. And he says it's not bad. Needs syrup though. BT Golden Suryp maybe. So yeah, that's what Richard is saying. So yeah, we need to think. I'm not big on bakeries. I'm more of a fruit and tobacco guy. So yeah, I'm kind of just here. I'm just here to do nice thumbnails and get the stream started. But yeah, so I think to kick it off, we need to look at a cake concentrate that we can use in here, or more than one that we want to try out. Now, the things that sound correct to me, of course, is sponge cake. Maybe we can even think of pound cake.
With Flavora pound cake, even though it's a nice cake, it's a lot heavier than a sponge, and it has got that coconut in the background as well, which I think I don't think would work well for this profile because there's no coconut in this.
Yeah,
and we're wanting a lighter one as well. Something like JF Jungle Flavors Yellow Cake or Flavor West Yellow Cake, as Richard used in his, would be good.
Do you think Dave is going to ask us if we want to kill him if we present him with Flavor West Yellow Cake?
I don't know. I think Dave loves his diacetyl and everything like that, so I think he might be on board with the Flavor West Yellow.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he will join the next roast, but it would be nice to have him there. I'm just thinking, he was the harshest critique. So what would Dave do? What would Dave do?
Richard is saying, don't use the Flavor West, use the Jungle Flavors Yellow Cake instead.
Yeah, I'm thinking I'm going to make two variations, right? Or I'm going to create two variations here. There's Flavor West Yellow Cake, Jungle Flavors yellow cake. And then the other cake we want that I'm going to be trying out here is OOO Golden Sponge Cake. Have you tried that one, Liam?
I can't get very many one-on-one in the UK.
Okay, so it's going to be new for you also.
Yeah, I don't think that's one I'll actually be able to get.
Oh, you don't think it's okay? All right. No, we've got them here. I might be able to get my hands on them. Oh, that's really interesting what Richard is saying. Malva is the Afrikaans word for marshmallow. So it's light in texture. You know, and that's the spongy thing that that Liam was talking about. So what we're going to need in here is we're going to need, with the cake, we're going to need a lot of butter, and there has to be, because there's so much milk or dairy in here, there will have to be some kind of milk, and that's why I think Richard has reached out for Flavora honey and milk. I think that's a brilliant idea. I'm just worried about the honey in there, but it's not really honey. It's more like a dark sweetness, Helium.
It's odd for me. The milk and honey actually tastes a little bit like coffee.
Yeah,
it actually comes across like coffee for me. Milk and honey. If I was going to be using if I was going to be putting butter in a cake, I'd either go with the old, probably 2013 version, Dave would say, of golden butter, Capella, or another good option might be the VTA Butter Base. To me, that tasted. You know, when you start making a sponge cake, you get your butter, you put your caster sugar in, you mix it up a little bit. It tastes very much like that. So almost buttercream, but not quite a full buttercream. Very, very buttery and very sweet.
Excuse me. Buttercream from VTA.
Yeah, it's Butter Base, I think it's called.
Butter Base. I'm putting it down here. VTA Butter Base. As potentially, some of the butter that we can use. You see, I haven't tried that. I also haven't tried OOO Golden Sponge Cake. I do have Jungle Flavors Yellow Cake, but I haven't single flavor tested it yet. When it comes to bakeries, I'm a little bit useless, but I'm going to force myself to do it now. Hey, Natalie Hayward. So she's saying there, how about Wonder Flavors caramel butter? That's a pretty good idea. I haven't tasted it yet. I'm putting it down here as of the butters that we need to test. I'm not sure if we can find it over here, but I'm sure we should be able to. Caramel butter, because when I eat Malva pudding, what comes to mind is like a syrupy sort of caramel, because that apricot jam with the cake mixture, it kind of creates this, with all the sugars and stuff in there, it kind of creates this golden syrupy stuff. Okay. And with the cake, that it caramelizes, if you're following me. So I'm not that far against looking at or reaching out for a caramel, to start off a Malva. I think it's a good idea.
I'm with Richard on this one, for the VTA Golden Suryp. That is a nice thick golden syrup, like the stuff you can buy in the tins.
Okay. So syrupy element. All right. VTA Golden Suryp. Okay, so I've got down the cakes, which is Flavora yellow cake, Jungle Flavors yellow cake, and an OOO golden sponge cake. The butters, we thinking about VTA Butter Base, Cap Golden Butter, and then on the syrup side of things, I put caramel butter there plus VT Golden Suryp. Those are the three things that we need to get right when we create this cake layer. Is the cake plus the butter plus the syrup. Then there's also a small hint of apricot as well, but it's not full on apricot in your face. It's just ever so slightly in the back. I think something with golden syrup and a little bit of apricot in there is going to kind of do the trick for you. But it has to be super low. It's just a smidge, just so that you get like it brightens up the cake layers just ever so slightly. So for that, Richard is suggesting TFA Apricot at 0.5 is about right. Richard is also saying that FA, so that's FA Armenia that he's talking about, I'm sure. So for the apricot, we're looking at FA Armenia, and we're looking at a TFA Apricot. Now, Liam, is there any other apricots that you've tasted that we need to throw in here?
Flavora Apricot is a really nice. That's really nice bright apricot, but you're gonna have to use that very, very low. If it's just an apricot hinge you're looking at like 0.1%.
Yeah, because it needs to be like a cooked apricot, opposed to a bright apricot that you would use in like a fruity recipe, right?
I was thinking about throwing in a little bit of the Vape Train orange marmalade. Just a low amount of that to actually push any apricot we use into more of a jam type, or you could even use the tried and tested liquid amber.
Liquid amber. Yeah, but I'm going to put, I think liquid amber. I'm going to put liquid amber with the apricots in there as something that, we probably need to check out. Sorry, Papa Chigley, I missed your comment there. So you were saying that yellow cake, yellow cake is also something that we need to check out. I don't know if we all can get that, but I'm happy to throw that in as part of the cakes that we are going to be checking out. Yeah, I think we've got quite a bit together here. So all in all, these are the cakes. I'm throwing it out in chat.
Just thinking, no, if we're throwing a brandy in the sauce, we probably won't need the liquid amber, because brandy does exactly the same thing as liquid amber. Or we could push the liquid amber up really high and use it as brandy.
Yeah. What brandy is that?
FA brandy is normally the one used for turning fruits into a jam or baking them slightly.
FA brandy.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm just adding all the ingredients that we are thinking about for this concept. From here, we're going to have to do a lot of testing to see, what is Oh, I see. Papa Chigli is saying that we need to remove yellow cake. It's gross.
Yeah,
Somebody said
that's definitely one to use if we want Dave to tell us that we're trying to kill.
Okay, so yeah, I think we've got quite a bit of testing that we need to do here. I'm not a big bakery guy, so I have to do single flavor testing on all of these before I can really start putting concepts together. But at least we have the ingredients now of what we need to test. So we probably have to put, because there's so many here. What my suggestions would be is to for us to do single flavor testing on all of these items that we sort of shortlisting first before we really start building the concepts. I can't see myself putting concepts together without doing that. Yeah, Papa Chigli went with the option of just water. He didn't go with the brandy option. I think and he hits on a point there. So if we are going to be putting brandy in there, we need to consider that there's going to be a lot going on in that cake layer. You've got butter, you've got cake, you've got apricot in there, and then you've got brandy as well. That might already, just in the cake layer, that might be crazy complex already, and people just won't understand it. So I'm always of the opinion to keep it as simple as possible. So potentially we'll start out with it not there. So yes, Richard is saying that his concept, and I'm just going to read it out so that everybody has an idea of where to start with this one, is golden sponge cake, flavor-based yellow cake, TFA apricot, Wonder Flavors caramel butter, so he used that, and FLV milk and honey. So he said that was not bad, but it needs syrup, right? So he was thinking of VT Golden Suryp. So yeah, that's definitely going to be one of the concepts. I'm going to do single flavor testing. Liam, have you got all these flavors?
Yeah, I've got most of them apart from the one-on-one syrup sponge cake. That's the only one I'm missing.
Yeah, the golden sponge cake.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I've got all of the other cakes apart from the JF, but I can pick the JF, the jungle flavors one up tomorrow.
We can also talk about what we want to do with a custard, because the custard is like a pouring custard. It's not a custard that is, it's not a bougie custard that's kind of set in in a pudding bowl. It's something that you just pour over the cake. So what happens, because custard isn't inherently sweet. You know what I mean? It's not sweet. It's got it's there's vanilla notes that come with a custard, but what you get is with a Malva pudding, when you're eating it, you get the sweetness, and the sweetness from that cake is quite intense, and then the custard sort of tones it down a little bit. So it's that it's sort of a play on sweet and creamy, you know what I mean? Or sweet and creamy has two different layers. So
Papa Chigli is suggesting Wonder Flavors Angel Cake as well for the cake layer, which is actually it's a really nice nice fluffy yellow cake type. I need to check my notes, but I think with that one, when I single flavor tested, I think I had a very slight raspberry from it. I think that might actually get covered in a mix anyway, if it is there.
Yeah, I added it to the mix. Thank you so much, Papa Chigli. So yeah, we need to talk about this custard layer. I mean, I've got plenty custard layers, coming out of my ear. That's literally all I'm vaping right now is custards. But
because the that cake base is quite complex, that we're just going to want to keep that that custard as simple as we possibly can. So I was thinking maybe the flavor at Custard Premium. And if you wanted to lighten it up a little bit, add a little bit of the FLV Cream.
do you think that the cake layer itself is already going to be heavy? Because Custard Premium, I would say is a little bit of a darker custard. It needs a cream, excuse me, to lighten it up a little bit.
Yeah, that's why I thought the FLV Cream might actually work
Help
in
it.
it, lighten it up. Even though it'll add a little bit more butter to it, it should lighten it up. Or we could borrow Fresh 03's custard base. That might work with this. The liquid ban ice cream with FLV vanilla pudding.
Mm. Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, so I've added cap sweet cream as well. I just want to see, because we'll see how we end up with the cake layer. If it needs a little bit more body behind it, we can go with cap sweet cream. And then I've added LB ice cream and FLV pudding as a trial and tested sort of custard ice creamy base, that's shake and vape. I guess using something like that also will reduce the steep time heavily on this recipe, which is a deterrent, right? If you look at a recipe on ATF and it's like 25-day steep time, people just scroll to the next recipe. So making your recipe as quick steeping as possible is always a win. So we need to check that out. Okay, so here is everything. I'm just throwing it out in chat again. This is everything that we want to use. Now remember, guys, I think what we're going to have to do is, or I certainly have to do is, we need to do single flavor testing on all this stuff, all these concentrates, and then we need to start, thinking about how we're going to create these layers. That's definitely what I'll be doing this week, because I can already talk about creating a Malva pudding with Flavor West yellow cake, and using cap golden butter and Armenia. That was the immediate sort of way my mind was going, just because I've tried all those flavors, and with FA Custard Premium and cap sweet cream, I was like, boom, roasted. But there's more to this. There's we're only doing one profile now, but there could be like many there could be many what do you call it, concepts. There's many ways to skin a cat, right? And that's pretty much it if you look at all the flavors that I added out in chat now. Okay, guys, is there anything else that we need to cover, Liam?
No, I think that's everything. I was thinking about the Wonder Flavors fluffy white cake, but I don't think that's the right type of cake concentrate, because we want that that yellow sponge.
Yeah.
No, Mohammed has mentioned INW Custard, but I'm not too sure if that might be a little bit too heavy.
Yeah, maybe INW Custard slightly dry as well, and putting it with the cake could set you up for a bit more of a drier mix. I think what Papa Chigley said is key over here is this cake needs to read moist. So we have to do everything possible to avoid dryness. So yeah.
Yeah. Suggestions on separating the custard from the cake off. Question off Richard. Vaping Lizard has said almond, which we found from one of our review videos. I think it was Jennifer Winstead, was it?
Yeah, it's a Jennifer Winstead maneuver.
Yeah, very low amount of almond might work. But I've also found that if golden butter goes into a mix, golden butter does work to separate layers, but normally with like pastries. So I'm not sure whether it might work with the bakery and the custard as well to give a little bit of a separation there.
Yeah, it's a tough one because the last thing you want to do is have something that's muddled. So it's like a Malva cake and custard pudding that's been chewed for a little bit. You know what I mean? We need to have the separation in there for sure. I think FA Almond is definitely something that we can test out in here.
Yeah.
But I think these what we need to do is we just need to get some extremes going in the recipe so that you can identify the two layers. But I do think they are going to be fused. It's not going to be sort of the opposite ends of a mix, or how can I say it's not going to be two very distinct individual layers. It's going to be two layers, but there's going to be some fusion in the middle between them.
Yeah, it's going to be like you've just put your spoon straight into the pudding. You got some of that cake, you got some of that custard, pour into your mouth. They do merge once they're in your mouth. So yeah.
Because I mean the cake on its own is slightly slightly too sweet to deal with, and then that custard kind of takes you away from that sweetness and brings a little bit of like a creamy texture to the actual recipe. So whatever we do, we just need to keep that in mind. This cake needs to read kind of sweet, and the custard needs to offset that sweetness. You know what I mean? So you kind of like get a very rich sweet cake, and then it moves over into the custard.
Yeah,
that's what I'm looking for with this profile. You need to end off with the custard. You can't have the cake pretty much all the way through. I think you need to inhale, get the cake, and then it needs to be cake and then custard when you exhale, something like that. Yeah. Okay.
Just wondering whether something like Flavora custard, not the vanilla custard, the Flavora custard might actually work as well.
I've tasted that one.
I know it's got a bit.
I thought about it.
I know it's got a bit of a maltiness to it, but
yeah, I've tasted that one. It's more like dark sweetness to me than custard. So it doesn't have any diacetyl in it, so that makes it a quick steeper. But with the custard and with stuff like ice cream that has a little bit of custardy notes in it, it needs that diacetyl there. Butter even,
if we're going to be using the golden syrup as well, we want to try and avoid dark sweetness, because as Richard and Papa Chigley was saying earlier on, if you take the Vape Train golden syrup and you add a brown sugar to it, it turns you into a molasses. So if we're using something that's got that dark sweetness there with the golden syrup, it might do exactly the same thing.
Now you see what Richard is saying. The custard, the biggest part over here is going to be separating the custard. You know, so we need to find a custard that kind of separates itself. So it would be interesting, actually, just going back on what Muhammad was saying. Maybe anywhere custard, if we make that cake moist enough, anywhere custard might stick out of a mix a little bit better than what FA does. You know, so I'm going to add it in here. If that's what Richard is saying, he's already experienced. You know, we can take his notes. We can also try Flavor West custard.
That's not one I've actually tried yet. I've picked it up. I've got it in my stash, but I've never actually tried it.
Yeah, but it takes forever to steep. You know, it's like CAP. Excuse me, it's like TFA. It takes forever to steep, but it's a pretty good custard. I mean, I'm just putting the options there of custard that I would reach for. I'm going to try and stay away from 2015 custard, which is the TFA. Yeah, even though that's the most used one, and you know everybody pretty much has it. It takes forever to steep. That's also the problem with Flavor West custard as well. That's why I'm not really that against using FLV pudding and LB ice cream, just to, you know, give us that custard note in there and make it quite separate.
I was just looking at my notes on angel cake as well, just to make sure that I did actually give the right information for what I tasted. For the first 10 to 15 days, it's actually quite a nice, light, fluffy sponge. Mm-hmm. But then after 17 days, it actually you get a nice light sponge with a vanilla buttercream in there as well. But I did get a very slight strawberry from it, which was a bit odd. I'm not sure whether there was strawberry in there, so I'm not sure whether that might conflict with the apricot a little bit.
Yeah, no, I think we've got enough cakes here. We should be able to solve this whole thing with jungle flavor yellow cake or golden sponge cake. And if we don't, we've also got Cop Out Flavor West yellow cake. You know, that we can use, and that will work. It will work. So Natalie Haywood is suggesting Molenberry. Was it? Oh no, Papa Chigli's suggesting maybe a Molenberry Legendary Custard. I've added that to the list over here. I'm definitely going to be trying that out. Okay, guys, I think we've come to the end of our show. We've almost been running for about an hour. I just want to shout out a couple of channels, guys. You have to go and check out Daytime Frank. Go look out for his YouTube channel. Then he's got a Facebook channel called Mixing in the Kitchen. On there, you will find, you know, the Mixing in the Kitchen show with Daytime Frank, but you'll also find a new show called Down the Rabbit Hole, I think.
Yep, that's the one, Down the Rabbit Hole.
Down the Rabbit Hole with Steve and Aaron. So go and check out that. I think Steve has got a YouTube channel as well now. So Aaron, I see you out in chat over there. You can definitely drop a link for that. Then you can also go and check out. There's a new channel going to start with Tammy and with Nick Evans. They've already created a Facebook group called Homegrown Alchemy, and there's going to be content created pretty soon on YouTube for that. So go and check that. I'll keep your eyes and ears open for that. There's DIY Down Under, Mix and Vixens, Developed, and of course the legendary Fresh 03. Awesome show to go and check. I hope I didn't miss anybody. If I have, just let me know. Pop a link out in chat or put a link in comments. But yeah, that pretty much brings us to, oh, I always miss out Flavor Pro. Go and check out Flavor Pro with Jennifer Winstead and Jennifer Jarvis. I think, yeah, I think those are the two main contributors to that channel. So go and check that out. A really, really good channel to follow. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. Just hashing out what flavors we want to go and test for this. Please, also everybody that's joining us out in chat, I know this is a big ask, okay? But go and create an actual Malva cake and eat it so that you have a point of reference. Once you've done that, you probably won't make any other pudding ever in your life again. It's really quick and simple to whip up, and it really pays off in flavor, and everybody loves it. It's a beautiful thing to serve on a cold night, or in winter. It's an absolutely delicious cake, and it's something that's really sort of central to South African culture. So I would be that wrapped if you guys actually make this and try it out. Guys, if you enjoyed this content, and if you're a supporter of the TFV channel, make sure that you hit the like button, and then also share this channel with your friends and your mixing buddies so that they can subscribe. I'm going to put a link out in chat for everybody that watches this on replay. I guess everybody that's in chat at the moment now are already part of mixologists. So this is going to be for everybody that is not part of Mixologist South Africa already. Just go and check out this group over here. This is South African DIY community group. But we've got people from all over the world in this group. So it'd be super cool to have you guys there. You'll find that link out in chat now. Yeah, that pretty much wraps up the show, guys. Thank you so much for joining. Liam, thank you so much for hanging out in chat. Papa Chigley, Mohammed, and Richard, thank you so much for all the advice. I missed Max Savage's comment there. He's saying anywhere will get lost. Yeah, this is going to be the challenge of this Malva pudding, is going to make the custard stick out and make sure that the cake is moist. This is the big challenge. I don't think nailing the actual profile from a flavor department is going to be that difficult, but it's bringing these two unique elements into the mix that makes it stand out, above just a thrown together recipe. So we're really going to try our absolute best to make that custard stick out. Everybody that I've mentioned out now, and everybody that has helped us pick the flavors that we want to do single flavor testing for this profile, thank you so much for that. I'm going to put all these flavors in chat. I've put it out in chat already. I'm going to put it in the description of this video. Everybody that's going to join on the next show, if you have these flavors or if you're going to get them, do some single flavor testing. Then next week we come back with our notes and we really start putting it together. This way around, we're not just it's not a hit or miss. We're actually doing our research to make sure that we absolutely nail it. I'm not a big bakery guy, so I need a little bit more time with this guy, this pudding recipe. So yeah, that's where we are. But thank you so much for everyone that has joined us out in chat. Happy mixing, happy tasting, and see you for the mix show next week. Cheers, guys.
Thanks, everyone.